Land, phosphorus, and sediments. How do they matter to us?
They all contribute to the machinery of life as one of the many gears running it.
And as gears, they spin round and round through the biogeochemical cycle that involves Earth and its elements to sustain life.
Whereas, humans are involved in this cycle as phosphorus are being produced and used in human activities through industries such as mining and fertilizers in farming, and also in bodily functions.
However, too much of this element would result in algae blooms that are invasive not only to our little aquatic friends, but the ecosystem too.
In the macro and micro scale, what does this have to do with the structure of our genetic code?
In this video, we will find out more about the sedimentary and phosphorus cycle and find the answer to the question, are we humans invasive?
The term biogeochemical is derived from bio, meaning biosphere, geo, meaning the geological components, and chemical means the elements that move through a cycle. A biogeochemical cycle is one of the natural cycles where living and non-living parts of an ecosystem move through a conserved matter, which in biology, it refers to the finite amount of matter in the form of atoms that is present within the Earth. Basically, the biogeochemical cycle is divided into two parts, which are the gaseous cycle, which includes carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, and the water cycle. Then the sedimentary cycle, which also includes sulfur, phosphorus, rock, cycle, etc. However, in this discussion, we will just be focusing on the sedimentary cycles, particularly the phosphorus cycle. So what is phosphorus cycle? Phosphorus is an important element for all living organisms. It is because it forms a significant part of the structural framework of DNA and RNA. Humans contain 80% of phosphorus in teeth and bones. According to the new research by GDPR, phosphorus cycle is a biogeochemical process that involves the movement of phosphorus through the lithosphere, hydrosphere, and biosphere. There are three important steps in the phosphorus cycle, which are, first, weathering, in which phosphorus will be extracted by the weathering of rocks, and due to rains and erosion, phosphorus will be washed away in the soil and water bodies. Second is absorption by plants and animals. It is where plants and animals will obtain this phosphorus through the soil and water and grow. Also, microorganisms also require phosphorus for their growth. The last one is return to the environment through decomposition, where when the plants and animals die, they decompose, and the stored phosphorus will be returned to the soil and water bodies, which will be consumed again by plants and animals, and the cycle continues.
Epigenetics is defined as a study in heritable changes in gene expression without a change in DNA sequence. In other words, how the physical characteristic or the phenotype changes to adapt environment without any changes in genotype. How does epigenetic work? Epigenetics changes affect gene expression in different ways. Types of epigenetics changes include DNA methylation, histone and non-coding RNA. The DNA methylation works by adding a chemical group to DNA, while the histone DNA wraps around the protein called histone. And for non-coding RNA, DNA is used as instruction for making coding and non-coding RNA. Now we're going to discuss the relation of phosphorus to epigenetic. Phosphorus is known as a one nutrient like nitrogen, a critical nutrient required for all life. The most common form of phosphorus used by biological organisms is phosphate, which play a major role in formation of DNA as its backbone, cellular energy as adenosine triphosphate, and cell membrane, which comprise of a phospholipid layer. With this, we can now see the main important role of environment to support the living organism.
Human impact on the environment or anthropogenic effects or processes and cumulative results of actions includes changes or which may affect the ecosystem, biodiversity, and natural environments caused directly or indirectly by humans. The increase in phosphorus levels in the soil makes the possibility of phosphorus to be carried in the aquatic ecosystem, which can be caused by mining phosphorus and be carried from one place to another in the form of fertilizers, agricultural crops, animal feeds, and many more. All of this originating from human actions, which alters and contributes in the phosphorus cycle of the earth. The phosphorus-containing fertilizers raise phosphorus levels in the soil and are especially harmful when washed into local aquatic ecosystems. Natural eutrophication occurs when phosphorus is added to water at a rate that is consistent with natural processes. Over time, a natural supply of phosphorus provides nutrients to the water and helps to boost the productivity of the ecosystem. On the other hand, artificial or anthropogenic eutrophication occurs when large amounts of phosphorus are drained into water systems. The superfluous growth of algae is caused by excessive levels of phosphorus which comes from the land. Algae may form algae blooms which are harmful to the plants and animals in the ecosystem.
According to National Ocean Service, an invasive species is an organism that causes ecological or economic harm in a way environment where it is not native. By nature, humans may cause harm to these cycles or ecosystems of nature. However, it is not intentional. People heavily rely on its environment for its natural resources to live. Throughout history, humans have been known to maximize the environment it is surrounded with. Humans have had a significant impact on the phosphorus cycle due to a variety of human activities, such as the use of fertilizers containing phosphorus, are particularly detrimental when such products are washed into local aquatic ecosystems. Thus, people harm aquatic ecosystems whenever excess amounts of phosphorus are leached into the water. Another impact caused by human activities is land degradation due to mining. Environmental impacts of mining can occur at local, regional, and global scales. Impacts can result in erosion, sinkholes, loss of biodiversity, or the contamination of soil, groundwater, and surface water by chemicals emitted from mining processes.
Now that we have learned about biogeochemical cycle, epigenetics, anthropogenic effects, and the term invasive, now with humanity's contribution and disruption to this phosphorus cycle, can we call ourselves invasive? If we are, how do we put a stop to that? And if we are not, what should humanity do to keep itself from being invasive?